This week, Bitcoin achieved a new milestone, becoming the fifth most valuable asset in the world, surpassing Amazon and Google in market cap. Let's dive into why this is happening and what can happen from here. What's up, everybody? I'm Kevin Ziegler. I help you grow your income, mindset, and freedom. So why is Bitcoin up over 38% from just 4 weeks ago, from 75K to now around $104,000, closing in on a new all-time high? It's not like Bitcoin's trending or anything. This rise has more to do with increased participation from governments and institutions rather than retail investors, which have in the past largely driven the price action behind Bitcoin. While everyone is discussing if 100 men can defeat a gorilla, the powers that be are quietly accumulating Bitcoin en masse, sucking up all the Bitcoin and leaving everyone else empty-handed. We gotta do better than that, guys. So, who is stacking Bitcoin right now? President Donald Trump's announcement of a US Bitcoin reserve has, in part, driven the recent price increase. This has helped to legitimize Bitcoin and secure its position in the global economy. This has resulted in states such as New Hampshire and now Arizona establishing Bitcoin reserves of their own, with an additional 18 states still pending approval status. Not to mention, at the time of recording, China has approximately 194,000 Bitcoin of their own. Okay, so states and countries want to buy Bitcoin, or at the very least, don't want to sell what they have. What else? Well, in January of 2024, the US SEC went forward with the approval of spot Bitcoin ETFs. Now, instead of opening up a sketchy Coinbase account, investors can purchase Bitcoin in their brokerage accounts using existing funds and not have to worry about the Bitcoin being lost. For a small fee, of course. In fact, these ETFs have accumulated over 1.1 million Bitcoin since last January. That's over 5% of Bitcoin's max supply, with BlackRock alone having close to 615,000 Bitcoin in their ETF. In addition to governments and gargantuan asset managers, we also have individual companies buying Bitcoin, with the most prevalent case of this being MicroStrategy, led by Michael Saylor. MicroStrategy is an enterprise software company that's been around for decades, but has had trouble competing in their field, primarily with Microsoft. In 2020, in the wake of the coronavirus pandemic, Michael Saylor decided to take a risk with his company or face certain bankruptcy. In August of 2020, MicroStrategy purchased around 21,000 Bitcoin for $250 million. This marked their first Bitcoin purchase. Since then, MicroStrategy has been making headlines for buying Bitcoin basically every week for the past few months and intermittently since their first purchase in August of 2020, amassing around $57 billion of Bitcoin. That's just over 555,000 BTC. Now, these big numbers are especially crazy when you factor in governments, ETFs, and MicroStrategy, considering that's millions and millions of Bitcoin off the table. And remember, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. Compound that with the fact that Bitcoin's supply issuance has decreased dramatically over the years and will mathematically get smaller over time, reducing by 50% every 4 years, otherwise known as the Bitcoin halving. So we know that Bitcoin's new supply is going to get smaller and smaller over time. But I think that demand is going to increase forever. Saylor's not going to stop buying Bitcoin, and all these states need to ramp up, starting with some big purchases. What happens when you have 20 states and 10 other countries all racing to buy Bitcoin while Saylor keeps just buying more? Well, that one's easy. The price just has to go up. Bitcoin's not just some fringe thing anymore. It's been widely accepted in the highest forms of government and institutions, and they're coming for all the Bitcoin. Look what they've done already in just a few years. Where do you think they'll be in 10 years? What about 20? There is not enough Bitcoin supply on exchanges to meet this demand, and at some point, this is all going to break and result in a massive supply shock, skyrocketing Bitcoin to millions of dollars per coin. And yet most people have absolutely no idea at all what is happening. Why do you think these people and institutions want Bitcoin? It's because the price has only ever gone up compared to dollars and other assets. For example, the S&P 500 priced in Bitcoin is headed towards zero. But everyone just tells you to buy the S&P 500. Get on the winning side of the trade. I think even just a little bit of Bitcoin will go a long way in the coming years and especially decades. By the time people are buying Bitcoin like they're buying the S&P, getting one Bitcoin will be impossible. The biggest opportunity with Bitcoin is the fact that most people think it's a scam, it's a Ponzi scheme, or it's going to zero. In the same way that US dollars are going up forever in terms of Argentine pesos, Bitcoin is going up forever in terms of US dollars. Here's a video of Michael Saylor breaking this down. It's a little over 2 minutes, but I find it extremely insightful.
MicroStrategy's average purchase price was a little less than 16,000, and right now, the price is about 33,000. So you've more than doubled your investment, and most likely by the end of the year, we're probably going to be in some kind of bubble, I imagine. So the return will be even higher. And you've said that you didn't buy the Bitcoin to sell it, but would MicroStrategy ever take some off the table when you sense the market is at a top, and then just buy in later when there's another correction? Or do you just plan to hodl through all the cycles, and weather those, whatever 80% downturns when the crypto markets are in a bear market?
Yeah, again, I just disagree with your characterization. I don't expect an 80% downturn. I don't think it's a speculative asset, and I don't think you can quote unquote take money off the table. You're speaking like a crypto trader right now, right? Yeah, I mean, maybe you're doing it just to represent their interest, but I don't see the world that way. I think that Bitcoin is sound money. It's the technically superior asset class compared to the dollar, the euro, the peso, the bolivar, compared to a stock index, compared to gold, compared to silver, compared to everything you can conceivably buy. It is technically, thermodynamically superior as an asset. So when you say things like that to me, and maybe you just do it just to see what I'll say back, I just imagine you preaching to me in Argentina while you're asking me if I'm going to sell the dollars and buy pesos back again as the peso sleeps from 20 to the dollar to 40 to the dollar to 80 to the dollar. Or if we're in, Venezuela. I mean, you think a Venezuelan company is going to, like, quote unquote, take some money off the table by selling their U.S. stocks and their U.S. dollars to buy back into local currencies? Or then, in Zimbabwe, you think they would take money off the table, right? Like, the point is, if you have the superior asset, it's going up forever, Laura. Forever.
Right.
Breaking news: Bitcoin is going up forever, and it might be a good idea to get some just in case it catches on. But there you have it. If you guys liked the video, consider subscribing to the channel and giving a like, and I'll see you guys in the next one. I post every Friday. Thank you, and take care.